that I was laughing about, a little while ago, is I was just thinking about how yesterday I was hosting a premiere on my channel, and of course, what's this guy, Apostle Tim, right? The preacher Perry's personal appointed apostle. He was in my comment section, there in the live chat. Me and him were going back and forth for like, 40 minutes or something like that. But it just it boggles the mind how these people, especially these two dudes, right, Perry and Apostle Tim, how they deceive themselves, right? They dupe themselves into literally believing that, oh, well, it's impossible for me to sin, right? Impossible. I was like, well, shit, you don't even know what sin is. You don't even know what sin is. And then they'll turn around and they'll say that, well, the only way it's only sin if you consider it to be sin, right? So your actions are only considered to be sin if you yourself consider them to be sins. Well, I have a question for that because there's a problem here. Say for an example, if going by the notion that your sins they are only considered to be sin if you yourself consider them sins, there's a massive flaw with that ideology. Because say for an example, they believe that if you don't believe on Christ, you'll die and you'll burn in hell forever. Is what they believe, right? So an atheist, somebody who rejects the idea of there being a God altogether, well, why would they go to hell then? Because they don't sin. They don't believe that they commit sin. Because again, they don't even believe that there's a God or any type of concept of a divine law that humans have to follow, right? So an atheist rejects the idea that they can sin. So by the line of logic that Perry and Tim is saying, it's like, well, why would an atheist be punished by God and sent to hell if they're not committing sin because they reject the idea of sin even existing? So that's a massive flaw with the ideology. So I asked him that question, and he's just like, oh, next question. Because he can't answer it. He cannot answer the question. Neither can Perry. I asked him when we were on live, like 2 months ago having a conversation. I asked him, and he can't answer it. So it's just, these dudes on the internet, going around teaching the Bible, I just, it's amazing. It never fails to amaze me. Some of these dudes and how much they don't really know about the topics that, they're all on here talking about. It's just ridiculous. Just like, what's this dude? Just like D. McClung, right? D. McClung, as he would say, and I know paraphrasing this quote, but he'd be like, the average person's it never fails to amuse me, right? The average person, it never fails to amuse me, looking at how these people act and their mindset. I can't blame them. I agree with them. It's like, shit, man. These people, especially over here in Babylon the Great, which is America, by the way. Now, especially these people out here in America, man. I mean, just like, what's this dude? Just like Apostle Rakah, right, from Great Millstone, as he was talking about on his one stream, man. The minds of these people are like, damn, cookie dough, right? Can be molded into different shapes and shit. So that's how these people's minds are out here, man. They can be, manipulated by the government, by the mind control that they put out for these people by way of, say, for an example, of course, the public education system, the TV and television that they have set up for these people, in every way, shape, and form. It's all there to dumb the population down. Let me give you an example real quick. There's actually a place not far from me where outside of the business, they have, like they put up a public display outside of the business, and it was saying, which I'll watch what I say for the YouTube, but it says on the outside of the door, they put like a little scene together, right, with all this, the violence, and shootings going on. So they were like, ban all assault rifles, right? Ban all assault rifles. It's like, well, dumbass, what do you mean to ban all assault rifles? It's like, have you ever even thought about, the implications of that? You got to be a dumbass to sit there and say something like that. It's just the minds of these people is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable the level of what's the word I'm looking for? Of how let's say this, it's unbelievable how disconnected people are from the realities of the world. Like what boggles my mind? It seems like literally everywhere I go on YouTube, you run into a person that is a full preterist. If you don't know what that term means, it means people who believe that we're living in the kingdom of heaven today, that Christ already returned like 2,000 years ago, and we're basically living in forever right now, right? This is the kingdom of heaven. That's the doctrine. Everywhere I go, you run into these people. Everywhere you go. What's up, Chris? How you doing? Um, but you run into these people everywhere you go. It's like it doesn't. I can't even wrap my mind around that. Why is it that so many people have convinced themselves that we're living in the kingdom of heaven? I mean, it's like I don't get. What happens to a person in their life that could literally convince them that right now today that we're living in eternity. And you have dudes out here like this one dude, Pastor William Bell, which I actually just recently did a debate with his appointed apostle, right? This guy, what's this guy, Elvin? Which he's a very respectable dude, I'll give him credit, but he clearly believes some bullshit, right? His appointed apostle, Elvin. Which that dude literally will come on and argue with you for hours on end trying to defend the fact that we're living in the kingdom of heaven right now today. Like, I mean, that's by far, the doctrine of full preterism is by far one of the most outlandish and preposterous, teachings about the Bible that I have ever seen out of my, 8 years of, watching religious content on the internet. Chris said, I am doing great. And you, I'm doing all right. I mean, shit, I could be doing better, but I'm, as I always say, I'm surviving, right? I'm surviving. Chris said, mostly the Quran crowd believes that. Um, well, I'll say this: most of the dudes that the dudes that I deal with when we have conversations about preterism, it's I've never ran into a person who subscribes to the teachings of the Quran who would consider themselves to be a full preterist. I'm sure there's some out there, of course, who do subscribe to the Quran who are full preterists. But based upon my interactions with them, I've only found ones that believe in the 66 books. Based on my interactions. So, I mean, I'm not sure what you're getting at, then, man. You might have to define it in a different term. Jay might you're talking about canon. Are you talking about canon of the scripture as in what's in? I'm not sure the word you're trying to put in there, man. You might have to describe it in a different term. I've never seen that term before. So you'd have to define it in a different term then. But anyway, I digress. It's just amazing, the how deluded these people are out here, man. And here's a whole other thing. Everybody thinks they know something, right? Everybody out here, thinks that they got the truth, right? You have, a million different people on the internet that set up what they call truth channels, right? Well, this is the truth, right? I'm giving the truth about this subject. Like I was just listening to what is this, modern day debates, and I was listening to this one dude who is a flat earther, which I agree with him on that. But then the dumbass is going around talking about, well, dinosaurs, that's all fake. Oh, that's all fake. That's all fake. But then they'll turn around and say, oh, well, dragons were real, right? And giants were real. But dinosaurs, that's all not real. I was like, what's the logic behind that? Which why I do agree with them that there were big people in the past that lived, right? There were definitely, bigger people in the past that lived on this earth, compared to the size of us today. There certainly were people who were, say, 15, 20 feet in the past. There's plenty of evidence to support that. But, to go around and say that, oh, well, dinosaurs were all a deception to deceive people, that's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And then, you have another channel out there. I believe they called themselves Christians Against Dinosaurs. Look that up. From what I know, they were like one of the first couple people on the internet years ago that were pushing the idea that dinosaurs are fake and are against the Bible, which is absolutely laughable and ridiculous. But it just shows you, man, that you can't just, accept everybody that calls himself a truther, because you're going to find out that a lot of these dudes go off on certain things. You know, you're gonna figure that out. That some of these dudes that think that they're in the know, right? They're going around calling themselves, all truth this, truth that. Well, you're gonna find out that a lot of these dudes don't really know what the hell they're talking about. And that's just what it is at the end of the day, man. Somebody might say something that's right, and they might say another thing that's right, but then they'll go off with something else they say. So you got to take the meat and you got to leave the bone, so to speak, man. You got to, like, say for an example, this one dude I listen to called Russian Vids, right? Which you all know who that is, or at least you should know if you've been around for a number of years, right? RV Truth. Yeah, he says some things which are definitely good. He can give out some good information on some topics, but then he totally goes off on other topics. Like the dudes out there talking about, oh, well, Stonehenge, right? Stonehenge, that was just a modern construction to trick people. It's like, shit, I mean, I wouldn't go to that extent to say that. I mean, I believe that, ancient people might have set them up for whatever reason, right? It might have been religious reason. It could have been a ceremonial reason why. I don't believe it. There's some type of, like, big hoax behind it. I mean, it's like, shit, out of a world of 8 billion people, real events actually happen. Like, I'll give you an example. One time I was in downtown Easton, and up the street from where I was at, there was a shooting that happened. And then guess what? Later that night, it was on the news. And I was there when the event happened. So, by the logic that these guys are saying, right, everything that you see on the news, it's all fake, and it's all fake news and all just to scare people. I was like, well, shit, well, I was actually there when the event happened, and it was on the news. Or let me give you another example, a more, may I say, morbid example. News, right, the guy got shot to death in the parking lot. And guess what? It was on the news. So is that now not real either? I mean, come on. And we know somebody that was a relative of the person that got killed, or at least knows them in some type of way, one way or another. So the point I'm saying is all of that not real then? Because it was on the news, and these guys are going around saying, "Oh, everything on TV is all fake. It's all fake." I mean, you got to be a dumbass to think something like that. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, there's conspiracies that are true, and of course, the time to time, the news might, do something fraudulent. I'm not saying it never happens, but to assume that every time there's some type of breaking news that it's all a hoax, that's just ridiculous. Like with this whole thing that happened over in Texas last week, right? About this incident that happened inside the mall over there. You got this one dude. What's his cat? What's this guy? Jake the A-hole, formerly known as Flat Earth A-hole, which I've watched him for years. But every time there's an event that takes place, this dude will jump on YouTube an hour or two after the event happens and say, well, see, this was a hoax, right? This was all a hoax. And then the idiots in his comment board will go around. Like, I'll give you an example. Something happened to fake. And the idiots in the comment section were like, oh, yeah, right on, Jake. All of this is all fake. And then I responded and said, I said, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have it in front of me, but I was like, it's like, I mean, well, what information we have that this was fake? I mean, from what I can see, this seems like a genuine attack. I mean, what about this is a conspiracy? And then these guys came on, and they were like, oh, well, you must have fallen for the fake war. You must have fallen for all of this fakery. It's like, what the hell is going on? What exactly is fake? Like, say, for an example, I hear people talking about, idiots on the internet talking about, oh, well, Ukraine, that's all fake, what's going on. Well, what a part about it is actually fake? I mean, nobody even clarifies that. Like what exactly is fake? Are you saying that the footage of explosions going on, is that all fake? Or is there literally no invasion going on? Is that literally what you're saying? Or, I mean, what exactly do you mean with saying that this or that is fake? I mean, what exactly does that even mean? It's like, do you even know, or are you just like saying something to sound smart? Like, literally, if you ask these people, they don't even know. That's just so ridiculous. So if you ask me, it's like, yeah, I believe that Russia is just trying to take back territory that used to be part of their control, back in the union that they had set up. I don't see any reason to doubt that that's what's taking place. And this has happened all throughout human history, where a nation would invade another nation and it would incorporate that territory under their own belt, so to speak, and take it under their control. So I don't have any reason to believe that that's not what's going on in the modern world. There would be no logical reason to not believe that. So again, if you want to believe that it's some type of massive conspiracy under the scenes, you're welcome to believe that. But I call bullshit on that is what I call. And again, I'm a guy who believes the earth is flat, so I know the conspiracy under the scenes, you're welcome to believe that. But I call bullshit on that is what I call. And again, I'm a guy who believes the earth is flat, so I know there's definitely some conspiracies out there. But I mean, shit, you know, not everything in the world is fake. You know, real things actually happen. Like, I'll give you an example. You got these dudes like Minor Shrek, he used to go around and point out, you know, the number 33 everywhere. It's like, yeah, sometimes it might be put there on purpose. Sure, sometimes it could be put there as a symbolic message. I agree, sometimes it could be. But that doesn't mean literally every time it is. Like, it could be just a coincidence sometimes. Like, I'll give you an example. I have a cookie box over on my desk over there. And on 3 parts of the box, there's a number 33 on the box. So is that cookie box satanic now because it has number 33 at 3 different parts of the box? Of course not. It just randomly so happened that it was that number. Right? Say, for an example, 33 calories by each miniature cookie or something like that. Right? It was just a random coincidence. It just so happened to be that. I'll give you another example. I used to live in a trailer where the rent that we had to pay was $666 a month. Since I knew our religious background, they dropped it $1, so it'd be 665. But the point is it was going to be 666. Just a coincidence. It just so happened to be that. Or another example, I've been to this grocery store multiple times where on my receipt, the amount that I've had to pay for my items was $6.66. It just so happened to fall on that number. It can happen time to time. That doesn't mean it's satanic just because it happened to. If you see it somewhere, you know, sometimes it could have a symbolic meaning, but of course sometimes it could be a coincidence that it just so happened to fall upon that number. You know, so as I said, man, you know, guys just overthink things too much, it seems. You know, guys are getting themselves into, you know, a trick bag. Like, I mean, shit, look at our buddy, the Minor Shrek. Right, that dude. Which nobody's seen that dude in like 9 months now. Nobody's seen that character around in like 9 months. We don't know where the hell that dude is. But he convinced himself that Christ was going to return by January 1st, 2022. Right, January 1st, 2022 is what he was saying, you know, when Christ would return. And of course, that didn't happen. So the dude, what he did in anticipation for a rapture or a second coming of Christ, the dude literally, and I'm not even joking when I say this, I'm being dead serious. I've known this guy for years, you know, and this is what he did. He went out, he literally sold his car, he sold all of his possessions, he threw away his degrees and his certificates, if I'm pronouncing them correctly. He threw all of it out, and literally is homeless. And last time we heard from him, he was living in an Airbnb. The dude literally sold all of his stuff and threw everything away, quit his job, and ran through his savings because he thought Christ was going to return on a certain date. And again, I'm not even joking around. That's literally what the guy did. It's like, shit. I mean, it's like, damn, man, you know, there was no reason to go to that extreme. And again, I'm a minimalist myself. Look that term up. I live with a minimal amount of possessions. But I mean, shit, you know, even that's going too far, man. You know, even though the scriptures speak about, you know, living as pilgrims on the earth, right, and, you know, living frugally, but I mean, shit, you know, you don't have to go to that extreme, man. I mean, Christ. You know, I mean, that's a bit too far, man. And the mark of the beast isn't even, you know, out yet. I mean, there's a couple people around the world that have it, but it's not on, like, you know, a worldwide stage yet. But that's a different video for another time. You know, but it's just, once again, man, you know, amazing how these people out here have, you know, deceived themselves and got themselves into all these trick bags. But anyway, I might call that the video there.